Table. I'm super excited to have you. I don't even know what episode we're on. We've done so many of them now.
We're a few in, yeah.
Yeah, we're starting to get our rhythm and get a vibe on that, and I really like it. I'm Drew Sanford.
I'm Stefan Bunch, and we are so excited about having these conversations. The whole purpose behind the Founders Table is for us to talk through with business owners, with people that we look up to, the people that are just starting, to people who have built an empire, to talk through how they've done it and the steps that we can take to do it. So a part of it is kind of documenting what we're learning as we're going. Obviously, from previous businesses in the past, we've gained a lot of knowledge. We've made plenty of mistakes to help us to get where we're at now, to where we can implement it with Elevate, Rise Marketing, and such. And we just want to take you along the journey. So we're excited to have these conversations. I think, and our hope is that they're actually valuable, that you can implement them. Really, just a side note here. When we started these, we were having these team meetings with our group. And Drew specifically has some incredibly knowledgeable things to say on business. If you look at his resume, it's unbelievable. The ways that you've scaled businesses, that you've built things, multiple $100 million, all the things. And I was just thinking, man, this is such good content that it feels a little selfish to just keep it to ourselves. And so when we have conversations, it's just so deep level on some of the things that we can do to grow and expand our business. And I thought, dude, let's put this together and we can have great conversations with people. And we want to see other people succeed. Like we want to see business owners and our friends grow in what they're doing. And some of these are just really tangible things that you can implement immediately. So I'm excited about this conversation.
Well, and I think to kind of piggyback onto that, today to peel the onion back a little bit of this podcast, when we started this, we were taking our sales team meetings that we were working through a process, right? So I've kind of systemized how you walk people through sales and how you motivate people, things like that. Yeah. And we kind of originally started by taking those team meetings, turning them a little bit into a podcast form, and then start going down that path, right? So I think that's what we've been doing lately. And we kind of not scheduled out, but we've shot a couple podcasts with intentionality behind it to do that. And today's, we really didn't have a topic. You showed up 15 minutes ago. You go, what are we talking about? And I go, we're doing the team meeting today. He was gone. His daughter had a cast taken off. And
Yeah. So today in the team meeting, the word of the week, the phrase of the week is the gap. And it's the distance or the place between where you want to be and where you are today. Yep. And so speaking specifically with real estate agents, I mean, in real estate, the process to get into the business is so small, and everybody comes in with huge dreams of what they can be. They want to drive the G-Wagons and the Lamborghinis and make a ton of money and do the things. And we have these goals. You want to have time, and you want to have all these things, and then the big house or whatever it is that's driving you. Mm-hmm. And you see those big opportunities, those big goals, and then finding the way to get to that is where the issue is. Yeah. Because our society is such a society where we get something today, we over leverage ourselves. It's a microwave. It's like whatever we can do, get it now, make it happen. Mm-hmm. But when we're talking about building sustainable businesses and actual building something that's going to leave an impact, our goals are not on a house, a car, whatever. Our goals are much deeper than that in these conversations. Yep. And so when we're looking at the gap between where we're at today and where we want to be, it's a great conversation with our agents. Yeah. I mean, but aside from that, for our company, for business owners,
and a lot of it's sustainability and consistency, and that's what I think, today with the agents. And I think every industry has its own level of that, right? Like some businesses are really reliable. Like, if you're a plumber, toilets are going to clog every month and like, so that's there. But you also, how do you stay consistent in the business coming into you to do that? And I think a lot of today that we were talking about is how do we, especially in real estate where it's so up and down. Yeah. And again, there's tons of businesses that are like that. How, when you have all these dips and valleys through this stuff, peaks and valleys, how do you try to maintain and have a clear trajectory with what you do? And I think that's a lot of what we kind of talked about today with the gap on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we talk today, we're going to talk about how to build your goals to set up to where you can achieve them as you go. So how do you build sustainable goals? And then I think the bigger conversation is not only how do you visualize the goals and how do you to see yourself to get there, but how do you have the discipline and the systems in place to actually make the motion? Mm-hmm. Because the difference between where we're at today and where we want to be is literally just action. It's action in what you're doing. And if you can have intention behind it, it 10X's that action.
Yep.
Like,
and I think that's a big key right there. That's a nugget that you just dropped, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, our minds are different, right? Like it is what it is. Like if you're an entrepreneur, your mind is different than most people.
Yeah.
So you're willing to take the risk. You're a little bit crazy and have ADD, and you do all this stuff, and you're okay with a little bit of chaos, but when you really put the intentionality behind that, that's when that magic and that sweet spot happens. And I think when we do coaching and stuff like that with other businesses, that's what we're pushing at, is to say, okay, what are we good at? What are we not good at? And then how do we get where we want to go? And how do you get that push behind that? And I think intentionality is that. And really the root of that is discipline.
Yeah.
So
what is discipline? I mean, when you look at your life or what you're building, what does that discipline look like on like a daily
Well, it hasn't
basis?
looked like the gym lately. Sorry, that's a sidebar. I think a lot of it is thinking about where you want to go and doing the steps that get you there, with whatever that is. That could be business, that could be family life, that could be your kids, that could be your wife, that could be the faith walk with God. It's all those different things. And I think again, you compartmentalize different parts of your life. And again, with entrepreneurs, we're so scattered with that stuff. Yeah. I think really thinking about like, okay, here's my 5 boxes that I have, or 6 boxes, or 3 boxes, and then trying to focus in on how do I make this one better every single day. What do I need to do this a little bit better? How do I do this a little bit better? How do I become a better leader? How do I become a better husband? How do I become a better father? How do I walk with God better? What are little wins that I can do? And then all of a sudden, like we talked about last week on the podcast, momentum starts happening. Yeah. And how do you get a little bit of momentum? And when that works, you add a little bit more, and then you add a little bit more. And there's so many resources these days. We've got this podcast. There's a bajillion podcasts out there on everything that you could do. There's books. I mean, anything that you want to do. I got to hear Jack Stack's daughter talked at an event this week. He has the book, The Great Game of Business. It's an awesome book to read. There's so many different things that you can get out there, and you can hear people that have different ideas. And at the end of the day, is there a magic pill? No. I think if you take a system and a process and you put effort behind it, you're going to have results. And I don't know, I think in business, if you have a theory behind it and you have a goal and you put steps in that, yeah. I don't think you can go wrong. Can you? Sure. But at the end of the day, you're moving in a direction. It's giving you intentionality. And anytime you mix that sauce together, it's just the difference of scale that happens when you do that.
I feel like the people that are listening to this, and you and me, we probably are in the same boat of we have big dreams. Mm-hmm. And for me, the hardest part is I have a big dream and I set a plan to get there. And whether it's say it's for the gym, I want to gain a certain amount of muscle mass, or I want to lose a certain amount of weight, or whatever that is. I hit it hard and I have a consistent, like I'm going to the gym consistently, and then I miss a day or two, and then I start to fall off, and then it seems like that journey can be such highs and lows on waves. Like your motivation is so heavy as you're hitting it strong, and then you miss a little bit of it, and it falls right off. I think the same is true for business. Yeah. For us, when it comes to social media and certain things that we're trying to do goals wise, I feel like when we have the motivation, we're like flowing. And then when we miss a week or something happens, then we tend to fall off, and it's a blind spot that we're trying to catch personally. But how do you? I think part of it is that motivation and discipline are not the same thing.
Correct.
And so how do you differentiate the two?
Yeah, you suck it up and you put the work in. I mean, I think that's a lot of it, and I think to me, it's micro wins and micro steps doing that. And then it's also what was coming to my mind when you're saying that is how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. You can't say, tomorrow I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to eat right, I'm going to go to church Wednesday with the kids and the family, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, and like expect that to be sustainable. It's not going to happen, period. You know what I mean? You have to back up and you have to say, look, I'm going to focus on this for a little bit, and I'm going to try to get a rhythm of what that is in my life, get that under control. And then the next one becomes a little easier. The next one becomes a little easier. And then all of a sudden you look 6 months back, 10 months back, 24 months back, and all of a sudden you've put in all these things, and then people are coming to you saying, man, I don't know how you have the discipline to do all that. Well, it started with one. And then the next one was it's just stacking wins. And that's what we got to look at, and I think to pivot this into more of a business thing, in my mind, how to stack wins and discipline And to kind of piggyback on last week's podcast, and that systems and processes is, to use discipline. I think that's where like a CRM comes into play with a lot of businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of business owners go, when am I ready for something like that? Like you're always ready for systems and processes.
From day one.
From day one. But CRMs, those are made to help make it easier for you. And if you have a good CRM and you do it right, that's where you automate stacking together. When I get this figured out and it's locked down, then I can go to the next little thing and then add another little layer. And then guess what? I can add another little layer. And if you can stack win on win on win, especially on the sales side of your business, all of a sudden, I'm a firm believer of if you just have a pile of sales sitting there to go get, you're going to figure out how to get the rest, right? Like you're going to hire another employee, you're going to get another person. And if you've put in other blocks before that, SOPs, things like that, it's not that hard to scale and move to a higher level. I'm a very big sales guy. I love sales. I love marketing. I love that side of the world. So my brain goes that direction. So with a CRM, being able to stack those and control them and take care of stuff and not drop stuff and lose it between the cracks. Yeah. That's what that all creates for you. And it's no different from business, as life, as God, as any of that type of stuff working in those realms. You have to be able to stack. And a CRM in the business world is how you stack that logically.
One thing I like about what we're doing with our CRM is it really helps us to not lean on motivation and lean on discipline in this way. It helps us to automate conversations, to make sure that we're hitting conversations that need to be hit. It helps us to make sure that people aren't falling through the cracks. And even when, today's a day I don't feel like doing a certain amount of outbound, it will literally reach out to us for us to initiate the conversation as well. Like, I think there's some things that you can do if you say, my blind spot is, the middle of the week, I struggle with motivation to just put myself out there, then you can set up systems that are either going to do that for you or that are going to push you to do it. And you have to say yes or no to it in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think that those are some great things that we're able to set up. And as a business owner, for me, if I just make a big sale or get a big client partnership, whatever that looks like, then I'm on top of the world and I can run 1,000 miles. But we all have those moments where we lost something or we missed something, and how do we keep pushing through that instead of letting it affect us for a week or two? Because whatever affects you for a week or two is going to affect you 3-4 months down the road. Yeah. So I think that when it comes to the CRM, the way that you're setting it up for us it's been so impactful, and we're seeing the fruits of it now. Yeah. Because we're making sure that we're not letting things fall through the cracks.
And the whole purpose of a CRM is to be able to take vacation or do whatever you need to do. And you're stacking wins on top of wins on top of wins. So whenever you do want to take a day off or you're going to be gone or you get sick or you need to go, whatever that is, it allows you the opportunity to do that type of stuff. And what I like about the CRM that we've developed and what we're working on, and it's most of them, it's nothing magical. We just have our own version because we know we have a specific niche. But when you use systems and processes in that realm, you can see what your blind sides are. You could see what the different struggles you have, and then you could try to fulfill those and plug those. And 9/10 of sales is just communicating with people, right? Like I always say that to everybody. Like if you just communicate with them, it's fine. Good, bad, ugly. Like it doesn't matter. Just communicate with people, and you'll figure out a solution with that. And that's just being human, right? Like exactly. You don't need to feel sold or anything like that. So to kind of spin this into the gap, if you've got a goal where you're wanting to go and you're here and you need to get there, when you can start building processes to do that, that's where the beauty comes in of what you're doing. And that's when you're starting to be scalable and you're starting to build something that's more than just, I have clients, I do work, I get paid. At some point, that needs to grow to a point where it's, self-sustaining. If not, you've just bought yourself a job, and that's what I try to get through a lot of our guys' heads is, look, you could buy yourself a job and you can go do I'm going to provide a service or whatever that is. I'm going to get paid. I'm going to do it again, provide a service, get paid, do it again. And that's fine. That's very rudimentary. And there's a lot of great businesses that run in that realm. But as we scale these businesses, it's great to be able to step back and then balance your life and prioritize different things and still find success and, have availability of time.
Yeah, and it's crazy how much you can expand your reach as well doing this. If you have a system in place, it's not even that your clients your clientele doesn't have to grow. It's just that you're communicating and making touch points with them when before that you weren't able to, or you just didn't have the ability. Like, so you're building out the systems to where you're making sure that those conversations are happening. Our HVAC was having an issue, and a friend of mine, we were literally just talking a few weeks ago, and he just randomly texted me, said, how's business going, whatever. And whenever I had an issue, like, I didn't even check with anybody else. I don't know. He might have way higher rates than other people, but I texted him because he was the first person on my mind. And I think that the same is true, just building out the systems. And a large part of it is that when you put those people into the system, it's more than just like letting it go on autopilot. Mm-hmm. Like you care. These are the people you care about. Yeah. So they're gonna see your stuff.
It's your SOI, source of influence. That's it's a reason that you're influencing them. They're influencing you, and better you make that, more niche you make that, these clients are your friends, and you know what I mean. And it's not necessarily a sales pitch or whatever that looks like. You've built a circle around you, and that's your livelihood.
Yeah, and these are the people that you love these people, you care for them. You're not going to take advantage of the situations. You're going to be there in their corner every step of the way. So you want to be top of mind in their life because you don't want them going with somebody who isn't going to have their best interest in mind, right? You want them to go to somebody, and you can build a system where they can trust you in it. And so it's a good opportunity.
I would say in most industries, if you do a good job of this that we're talking about, systems and making that and communicating with people and using the CRM, I would say, let's say on the high side, 50% of businesses in your niche use a CRM. If you're in a more of a blue collar setting, it's probably even less. And then if you're in super technical stuff, it's probably higher. But I would say of the people that use those, let's just say half. If you do that and then build these systems and do a decent job and try, and you get your team behind you doing it, you're in the top 5 to 10%. And by the time you get that rolling and going and you put a little effort into it, and then you kind of build the unification stuff around it, you connect your Google and your Facebook and your Instagram and YouTube and all the different things. And then you have the systems and processes in place where that's all together. You get your website communicating, you get your salespeople doing outbound sales. You have a great tracking mechanism coming in. When you kind of mix all that together in a pot, and again, you don't have to be perfect. If you can get it to 80%, you're already in the very, very top percentile of people doing that. Yeah. And you've already set yourself apart. So then it's just discipline and time and continuing to do the job and continuing to do the work. And then all of a sudden you've got work coming out your ears that you can't handle all of it because you've done the stuff that you need to do. And then is when it gets fun in business. You can pick your clients, choose your pricing. You can get really creative. And going back to what you were saying a second ago, that's when maybe you replace yourself with another employee or two, and then you have an opportunity to go do something else, whether that's a different part of the industry that you want to be in, whether it's a whole different, maybe you want to start another job, maybe you want to do investment properties, maybe you want to get rental stuff, like maybe whatever that is.
You might be moving into a spokesperson role rather than in the job itself. You're bringing clients to your team.
Time off becomes a priority. That's how that all happens. I think a lot of people look at business owners and say, oh, I'm here. I want to be here. The gap. I don't know how to get here. This is probably the biggest step that direction is understanding how to scale, and then doing that with the CRM and making a plan and a process to do that. Because at the end of the day, I always think from a business owner standpoint, at the end of the day, you're there to make sure you have plenty of business for your team. So whether you add team members or subtract team members, we never want to subtract typically, but if you're adding team members and you build the processes there, it's really your job to make sure enough business is coming inbound to fulfill and keep everybody busy and to be efficient doing that. If you can do those steps, you're going to grow. Well, if you could do those steps and focus on that, and you don't have to be in the daily grind with that, imagine what that can turn into for you as your business grows and develops and evolves.
As we talk about this is where the micro wins really stands out to me. These small actionable steps that we can take to get us to our bigger goal, right? And I think in our business, it's all about these small wins that you can start to stack up pretty quickly. And as you do, it's crazy how much it expands where you're headed and the clientele that you're talking to. And so small micro wins, as much as like having just a good conversation with another business owner in town, making sure that you're doing your outbound calls. If you're circle prospecting in our business, you're reaching out to potential sellers to try to connect them with your buyer. There's a plethora of micro wins out there. How are you going to be able to stack those to get to what your larger goal is?
And there's easy ones, right? Let's go back to discipline. Like, don't eat the whole elephant. You're not going to do it. You take one bite at a time. And I think that's where the micro wins starts at that level. Like, pick a couple easy things that you can do that, if I just did this every day, just this 10-minute thing every day, what could happen? Well, do that for 1 week.
Yeah.
And write it down, track it, trace it. You know what I mean? Trackable, traceable. Like, what do you got to do to make sure that you're doing that? Write that down. Find somebody to hold you accountable to it. Talk to your staff, talk to your wife, talk to somebody and be like, hold me accountable, make sure I did this week. I mean, for our guys, what's a micro win that we tell them to do? Add somebody to their CRM. How many a day do we do?
Yeah, our goal is 10 a day to our CRM. And really, it'd be good to have 20 conversations a day that are meaningful conversations with somebody new. I think for monthly, making sure that we're reaching out to expired listings or sending letters to our customers and to our clients. These are things that you can do in the office. These are when you're at home, you can Facebook message 10 people
in 5 minutes, exactly. Not even.
Yeah, have conversations. And so these are things just as you're waiting or sitting. Our guys at open houses, if there's nobody at the open house, then they're reaching out to people while they're there, utilizing that time. And these are just small things that over time are going to add up for sure.
Yeah. Every business has easy things to do. And if you think your business doesn't, get with us because we want to, we'll find you some. So, and that's what it takes is to do that. And, as you keep developing and doing this, you'll start seeing those. And then, I would say start with yourself, do some micro wins, and then take your team and say, look, I want to add this layer into you guys and teach your guys discipline. Lead by example, be a leader.
Yeah.
You do your stuff, show them what you've done. You ask them to do something on their discipline and have a conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what makes the gap so important to me is that when you start asking good questions, that's what starts provoking thought to grow your business and do things. So if you're a business owner listening to this and you need to scale, you have different goals and aspirations of where your business is, that's the one of the first steps of this. One, realizing that we got in progress to make, we need to make improvements. And the other one is asking questions on how to do that. If you're listening to this, especially this long in the thing so far, you're obviously at the right reason for that. So tell me an example of what the gap.
Yeah, I think this is great. So when we talk to business owners or to real estate agents who are starting their business, we want to walk them through, talk to us about your goals. What are your goals? Maybe my goal is to retire my parents someday. Maybe my goal is to have my wife stay at home with the kids. Maybe my goal is to save up for college or to buy a house or whatever the goals are. I want to give this amount of money. And we put those goals all on a sheet of paper, and we're going to find micro wins in order to get there. For real estate, it's very simple. If I want to make this amount of money, I need to sell this many units at an average price of this amount. And so we're going to have trackable wins that we can go to. And we know for this amount of sales, for one sale, you have to have this many conversations in order to have a good conversation in order to have a contract, right? So we're going to find trackable items that we can get to your number. And if you're not hitting your goal, then we're going to go back and we're going to say, how many conversations are you having? How many people are you connected with?
It's not hard to backdoor the numbers when you do that.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And the same is true for any business that you have. If you have these goals, and it's real simple in sales because it's literally just a numbers game. If you want to put this amount of effort in, then you're going to have this result. And if you don't have that result, maybe then it's something that you're saying or something that you're doing, and we can work on that and we can find what the issue is for sure. But if you have that North Star, this is why I'm doing this, this is what it's for, then when I'm going to have those steps to get there, and then you just need somebody accountable to help you stay along the path.
Absolutely.
I think it's funny because our hungry agents and those new business owners that don't have anything that they've really built yet, they have these goals. You see them grinding and just go all out. And I think one of the tricky parts is when you kind of get a little bit closer to your goal and you're like, this is actually kind of comfortable. Maybe I don't need that big thing. I'm kind of comfortable where I'm at. Maybe I'm just going to hang out here. You don't say that, but your actions say that.
Your actions say that. That's exactly right.
And so I think that's the other step that we like to talk to agents and business owners is like, hey, when you started, you had this goal and you were on track to get to there. And something happened in the middle here you were succeeding, you were doing great things, you're still doing a great job, but there's that next step.
Yeah. There's always these like plateaus, right? And then you get to that plateau and you're like, ugh. And then you got to fight through it and you go to the next plateau. And then you get to the next plateau. And it's funny because like watching our guys kind of hustle and struggle with certain things. I mean, the economy for real estate right now, it's not a really great real estate market.
No.
But our guys have crushed it. Sales have gone up. Everybody's had the biggest year they've ever had. Like it's really good to see this happen.
Yeah.
But like a month ago, we kind of hit a plateau where everybody's like, we're doing all this outbound and we're doing all this work and I haven't seen anything. And we literally had just close your eyes and grind. Just keep grinding. And literally in the last month, everybody has just doubled or tripled the deals that were happening.
Things are moving. The momentum and it's just the processes are working.
Yep.
And I think that's what we find when people start to plateau. It's okay. What can we add to your systems?
Go back to your North Star. I think you're spot on. You go back to your North Star, say, what is guiding me? Where are we want? And then where do I want to be? Mm-hmm. And then you start filling that in. And I think measuring backwards is a big key to that. You know, there's math typically doesn't lie. Especially when you're talking about dollars and cents, like it's not, I mean, that's most business owners watching this, they can do that with their eyes closed
for sure
with what they've got to do. But it's then finding the discipline and the motivation to get there. And I think that's where the micro wins and the managing and tracking and doing that really helps solidify where they want to be.
Some of the conversations that haven't even been, hey, I need to change my systems. It's, I need to bring on somebody, I need to hire somebody to take some of this work.
Yep.
And then you have the conversation of, man, now I have something to lose. And so I'm a little bit more cautious than I was when I first started. I didn't have anything to lose, so I was just going to go all out anyway.
Yeah.
And so those are some really cool conversations to have. And we love having those. Like when we're talking to agents or we have people that are interested in certain things, we talk with them and we see where they're at. And you can tell pretty quickly where they're plateaued and where they're at based on, is it motivation? Is it systems? Is it processes? Is it you just literally need more people on your team? There's all different kinds of problems.
Yeah.
But we can find out what those are. But
absolutely.
If you have your North Star, if you are like, I'm not going to be just in the comfort zone, maybe I'm into a place that I've hit 50% of my goals and I'm kind of comfortable. I think that's the thing. You got to have somebody behind you saying, hey, you said this, you're on track for this. Let's do it.
Yep.
You can do it. You've already shown that you can do it. It's just a matter of getting it done.
I like it. Well, thank you so much for watching today's podcast.
Yeah.
You know, I think hopefully you learned that discipline and micro wins closes that gap. And that's how you establish what your goals are. You establish what your goals are, then you use the discipline and you get where you want to go.
Yeah. We actually have something and it kind of shows how to establish what your North Stars are in order to help get to those goals. And so it kind of helps to break down on a monetary level, but also on just a time and ambition level where you're putting your time and energy. And so if you would like that resource, reach out to us. We'd be happy to send it your way.
Absolutely.
So yeah, thanks for joining us today. We look forward. We're going to have a few really cool guests on here in the real near future. So stay posted.